The four heroes of Yore, probably the most important characters in Kirby lore. These guys were mentioned in Highness's pause description and are said to be the ones that sealed away Void Termina with the four Heart Spears. It's 90% likely that Galactonite/Aeon Hero is one of the four heroes of Yore because he uses these Heart Spears in his attack in dark form. But what of the other three heroes? There's two possible answers to figuring out who they are. The four heroes of Yore could reflect the main four heroes, or the four classes of Team Kirby Clash, since that's the game that they chose to reveal the first hero in. Galactonite fits both. For the main group, he's obviously the Meta Knight of the group, and for the classes, he's the Sword Hero of the group, other than the interesting candidate we found the other day. There's one character that flawlessly fits both possibilities and has substantial connections to the ancients. King Dedede. Now, if you haven't been examining every detail with a comically large magnifying glass like I have, you might think this is an absurd claim. Dedede, the lazy, magic, powerless, goofy, self-proclaimed king? First, why is King Dedede a king? It says somewhere in one of Dedede's descriptions somewhere, I don't remember which one, that he is the strongest warrior on planet Popstar, yet he's always said to be a self-proclaimed king. So perhaps Dedede thought he deserved to be titled of king because of his power and because he was a famous hero, not because other people decided to make him king because he was powerful. Now, starting with one of the earliest and most obscure details is in Kirby's Pinball Land, where Dedede shoots lightning from his hand. No weapon for shooting, it's straight from his hand. Now, you might say that this is just some random thing that has been retconned or completely forgotten, but due to Dedede's connections to machinery and, by extension, electricity, I think this is still completely canon and they never forgot. In Kirby's Adventure, Dedede is said to have hid the Star Rod away from Nightmare, but when it's brought back, we actually see Nightmare emerge from the fountain, and the water even stops pouring in afterwards. This has led me to believe that Dedede actually sealed him in the fountain, but more so sealed him in the dreams itself. He doesn't need dreams to attack. Regardless, he still knows of the Star Rod's power, and the only others that are stated to know that are Kirby, Marx, and Magolor. Similar, in Squeak Squad, Dedede just casually has a chest that contains the ruler of the underworld, and we can assume that he's the one who sealed him in that chest. Dedede's famous masked form has a largely mechanical hammer that even creates lightning and blow-up blast. He has a plethora of giant robots, but there is one giant robot that isn't owned by Dedede that I want to talk about. HRD3. Now, the important thing to note first is HRD3 is a repurposed Dedede boss from the cancelled GameCube Kirby game. So you could say that the only reason he's so similar is because he was a Dedede thing, but was repurposed into something else, and has no actual lore implications. But in Kirby Mass Attack's minigame Kirby Quest, the original Dedede version of it is a boss. I'm not saying that Kirby Quest is canon in any way, but the Dedede version of HRD3 is a thing that exists in the Kirby universe. Even without the truth of him being a scrapped character, his name is HRD3. D3, 3 Ds, DDD. They could have easily renamed this enemy, but they deliberately kept it in. And in fact, perhaps it wasn't even named HRD3 in the first place, and it's a name they made afterwards just to connect him more to Dedede. And in all the high-tech ancient locations, there are massive hammers. What's Dedede's weapon of choice? In Kirby 64, you sometimes play as Dedede. It's a rare occasion, and one of the times he's playable just so happens to be in Shiver Star, one of the first real places of Kirby lore, and biggest piece of science ancients. On the topic of Earth, I believe Dedede is probably from the same group of genetically modified animals that the Beast Pack were made in. Now, I should say that this hero doesn't have to be Dedede himself, but could just be one of his ancestors, so keep this possibility in mind if you're agreeing with this theory. Now you might be thinking, well, it's all fine and dandy that Dedede is related to the ancients, but is there anything directly connecting him to the heroes of Yore? Remember when Tyranza mistook Dedede for the hero of Popstar? What if he was actually right, but Tyranza's just been living in the past? Remember the void memory theory from the Goromando video? With Goromando aside, Dedede is probably the closest character to matching his buff body type, but even more so, buff Dedede. When the Jamba Heart possessed Meta Knight, his bio says that Void didn't grant him any new powers, but revealed other powers that Meta Knight was hiding. Could it be then that buff Dedede is also some or that Dedede has hidden deep within? Now, this connection could very easily go the other way around, because because Void possesses Dedede, so it takes a form like Void. So who really knows? Going back to the very first thing I said, Dedede fits both possibilities. For the Kirby group, he is the Dedede of the group because, he is Dedede himself, and it would make sense if at least one of the 4 heroes ended up joining the group of the new 4 heroes. And, of course, in the other theory, he'd be the Hammer Lord. Now, there's one last thing that he needs to really be one of the 4 heroes of Yore. Heart Spears. Like with Dedede's other powers, obviously he's hiding it. But what weapon does he train all his soldiers in? Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the second of the 4 heroes of Yore, King Dedede. I will be trying to tackle the other 2 heroes, but first, I will be remaking all of my old low-quality Kirby lore videos. Make sure to like and subscribe to get notified when those drop. See you then.